Now let's all turn in our Bibles to 2 Kings. Chapter 6 is where we're at. And how many would agree that 2020 has been a little tough? Been a bit of a struggle. I can guarantee, though, it's not as bad as they had it. We're going to see Israel, in particular the city of Samaria, go through a terrible, terrible time. And just to give some context here, we have to understand that the king at that time, while he was the son of King Ahab, somebody's calling me right now. I don't know why. Okay. They do know it's Sunday morning, right? Anyways, maybe they don't. They don't realize that. All right. Can you pick that up next time? Just say, what are you doing? No. No, we all go through trials, right? So, the context is the king, while the son of King Ahab, had done some good things. He did not go back to the worship of Baal. He did not go back to the worship of other gods. He was worshiping God. He was encouraging people. Now, there were still some things up in the mountains. Some people were still going up there to worship, things like that. But he had some faith in God. But as we're going to see today, when troubling times come, and he's going to go through some troubles, the question is, will we have faith in God in times of trouble? Or will we give up that faith? Because does it matter? When is it easy to have faith? When everything's going well. We are very human. And as humans, I like to call them, we like situational relationships. So if you are good to me and you are a friend to me, then I will what? Be a friend to you, right? Right? So based on the situation, if you do this, then I will do this. If things are going well, I will trust you. If things are going well, I will put my faith in you. If you always keep your promises, but as soon as you don't, or things don't start going the way I think they should, then you're no longer my friend. I no longer trust you. I no longer, and this is the way we think. But should we? When, look at your paper there, right across the, the question is, when should we have faith in God? Always. That's what that song was all about, right? Even when he isn't doing what we think he should be doing, even though he isn't doing it the way we think he should do it, even though things aren't going right, should we still have faith that God is in control? Now, this is important in 2020, isn't it? No matter what's going on in our life right now, yes, there's a pandemic and there's all those things associated with that. People are having health issues, relationship issues. People are having financial issues. Lots of difficult things going on. Not to mention the fact that the kids are home all the time. Can you imagine being a parent right now with school-age kids? You didn't, boy, it was amazing being able to get rid of them that much each day, wasn't it? Or a grandmother of one. It's nice. But there's just so many strains, and we can let the fears and the worry and the stress and all of these things, not to mention the political issues, not to mention the societal issues, not to mention the fact that our country seems to be going into a dumpster fire right now. This is a problem, isn't it? But how should we respond? Can we respond with faith? A true faith that God is in control. And can we have the faith of Elisha? Anybody just want to guess, based on what we've seen from Elisha so far, how he's going to respond to it? Yeah. God's in control, so what? so yeah, this is going on, yes. But is God still in control? Let's take a look at it. Let's see how bad it got. Everybody go to 2 Kings chapter 6. And we're going to start in verse 24. So Syria is going to come. Now, if you remember from last week, Syria had been sending those little bands of people in, trying to get the king and all that kind of stuff. But Elisha was told by God where they were going to be, where they were going to lay the traps, right? And so they decided to go after Elisha, right? Let's go get Elisha. Did Elisha panic? No. His entire city of Dothan was completely surrounded by the Syrian army. Did he freak out? Because what did he know? His God is with him. There was a band of angels about him. He knew that God was in control. He did not panic. The entire group ended up blind, and he led them into Samaria, and they were captured. And because they were enemy, he hated them. No. You don't need to do that. When your faith in God, you don't need to hate anybody. When your faith in God, you don't have to defeat anybody, do you? Who do you put in control? God. Well, they didn't do the bands anymore, but the king of Syria still decided, I am going to siege Samaria. Now, everybody know what a siege at that time was like? It was not good. We've seen this in this century as well, like the sieges on especially the Russian cities during World War II. Basically, you surround them and you cut off all supplies. And what are you waiting for? Everybody starved to death. That's not good, is it? And that's what happened to Samaria. Let's look at verse 24. And it came to pass after this, so sometime after all this happened with Elisha and the bands of people and stuff, that Ben-Hadad, king of Syria, gathered all his hosts, his entire army, and went up and besieged Samaria. How bad did it get? And there was a great famine in Samaria, and behold, they besieged it, until an ass's head was sold for 80 pieces of silver. 80 is how long? 87 years ago. Right? 80 pieces of silver for the head of a donkey. So you could boil it and make a little soup or something for substance. How bad is that? That's bad. And a 1/4 part of a cab of dove's dung for 5 pieces of silver. People were buying dove poop for 5 pieces of silver just to have some nutrition. How bad was it? It's incredible. So whenever you start thinking, boy, 2020 is awful, think about this. It is not, we're under siege awful, is it? How many have enough food? How many ate something a little better than boiled donkey's head last night? Some of you didn't raise your hand. I'm sorry. I didn't realize you went to McDonald's last night. So, so it's okay. It's okay. We all go there sometimes. All right, verse 26. And the king of Israel was passing by upon the wall, and there cried a woman unto him, saying, Help, my lord, O king. So he's just kind of traveling the city, seeing how the city's doing, and a woman cries up to the wall toward him. How bad was it? This is awful. And he said, if the Lord, if the Lord do not help thee, whence shall I help thee? Out of the barn floor or out of the winepress? How am I supposed to help you? If God is not willing to help you. Now here's a little problem though. Did he expect God to help? Yes. But what hadn't he done? What do you think? What? Ask. See, there's a difference in faith in faith. I have faith that God will fix it. I have faith in my faith that God will fix it. I have faith in my faith being enough so that God will help me. Instead, who should we place our faith in? In God. And go to who? Who should we go to in times of need? Don't just sit there and say, well, my faith's in God, so he better do something. That's not putting faith in God. Put your faith in God by doing what? Humbling ourselves and going to him and praying to him and seeking his help. And will he help his people? Yes. But instead, he decided to complain, blame. If God's not going to fix it, what can I do? If God's not going to do it, what can I do? Have you gone to God? No, but he should fix it. What's the wrong attitude, folks? In fact, look what happened next, verse 28. And the king said unto her, What aileth thee? And she answered, This woman said unto me, Give me thy son, that we may eat him today, and we will eat my son tomorrow. This is a good day for this, because I don't think anybody's going to want to eat until about 4 o'clock this afternoon after reading this story. When we're talking about donkey head soup and eating children, this is rough stuff, but this is how bad it had gotten. But this is how bad it's gotten because their faith was in whom? In themselves. What can I do? How can I fix this problem? How can I get through this? And when we put our faith in ourselves, we put our faith in government, we put our faith in others other than God, this is where we end up, folks. Doing stupid stuff. And she did it. She gave her son, and then what happened? Verse 29. So we boiled my son, and did eat him. And I said unto her on the next day, Give me thy son, that we may eat him. And she hath hid her son. Duh. I mean, this is awful. And what's her complaint? Is it over the loss of her son? No, it's not over the loss of her son even. It's what? She won't give me her son. I'm hungry. How selfish have these people become? How self-absorbed have they become? That they would think this is the answer. Instead of doing what? Instead of turning to God and seeking His help and trusting that at the right time He will provide. Verse 30. So what was the king's response? And it came to pass when the king heard the words of the woman that he rent his clothes. And as he passed by upon the wall, and the people looked, and behold, he had sackcloth within upon his flesh. That's very religious. What did you do to solve the problem? I went to church. What did you do to solve the problem? I gave money to the church. What did you do to solve the problem? Oh, I helped a friend. I did some good works. I did things. What did he not do? Pray. Pray to God, humbly come before Him, not just for the show, just having sackcloth next to your skin to show people, look how humble I am. But instead go to God with all your heart, from the heart, go to Him, pray to Him, ask for His help. And if we come before the throne of God, will we find help in time of need? Who has said so? God has said so. Just come. Instead, to Him it's all religion. To Him it's all a show. To Him it's all, I'm doing the best I can. The problem is you're putting you as in charge. Go to God and trust Him. And that's what leads to this, verse 31. Then he said, Go do so and more also to me, if the head of Elisha the son of Shaphat shall stand on him this day. Go kill Elisha. That'll solve it. Right? I got to punish God. I have to punish God's person. I have to get rid of His prophet. I have to show these people that I'm serious. And this is what people do. I got to make a show here. I got to show that I'm trying. I've got to show that I'm doing, instead of doing what? Humbly coming for God and asking. I'd rather do anything other than that. I've got to show power. I've got to show that I'm in charge. Well, the fact that He's in charge is what? Led to the problem, hasn't it? Same in our life, folks. Don't get on Him. This is the same for us. When we are beaten down, when we are overwhelmed, when we are under siege, so often we will turn to religious practices to show God how much He needs us, right? To show Him how much, we're doing the right thing, so He should do something, instead of just simply what? Pray. Humbly come for Him. Say, Lord, increase my faith. Lord, let me trust in You. Things are bad. I don't know why this is going on. I don't know why I have to go through this, but I trust Your purpose. I trust Your way. I trust Your timing. I trust in You. Nobody would have that kind of faith, though, would they? In the middle of this, to have that kind of faith in God? There's one shining light that we know of, and that's who? Elisha. And this is what this whole thing is, being a light in a dark world. We live in a dark world. And we see how people react out there to crisis, to problems. They release hate. They release blame. They release their own activities and religiousness and things like that, trying to solve the problem. It will never solve it. Who do we have to go to if we want to find peace, if we want to find hope? If we want to get through this, who do we need to go to? Go to God. Well, so here's Elisha. in the middle of the siege, and he's panicking. Nope. He's worried. Nope. He's fearful? No. He's hanging out. Verse 32. But Elisha sat in his house. That's what he was doing. With a bunch of other people just kind of hanging out in his house. Because his trust was in who? Trust in the Lord. How many think he probably prayed? Ask the Lord to deliver them in the right time. I trust in you, Lord. So he's sitting in his house. And the elders sat with him. So there were others too. Just kind of sitting there, waiting on the Lord. And the king sent a man from before him. And before the messenger came to Elisha, he said to the elders, see you now this son of a murderer. Speaking of the king. Who was the son of who? King Ahab. This son of a murderer has sent to take away mine head. Look, when the messenger comes, shut the door and hold him fast at the door, and is not the sound of his master's feet behind him. So when the messenger comes, shut the door. I'm waiting for the king. I'm going to wait for the king to come, and I will have a conversation with him. Verse 33. And while he yet talked with them, behold, the messenger did come down unto him. And he said, behold, this evil is of the Lord. Where do you think the messenger got that idea from? The king. This is what we do. We blame God, right? Should we be blaming God? No. Don't blame God. Seek God's help, because he's the only one who can get us out of this mess. Behold, the messenger came and said, behold, this evil is in the Lord. What should I wait for the Lord any longer? Why should I wait for the Lord any longer? Why should I have to wait? You realize how arrogant that is? How many ever tried this at dinner time? Mom, why have I got to wait any longer for dinner? Get it out here now. You ever try that? Yeah, try that. Yeah, you'll see what comes. Who's in charge here? Right? How arrogant is it for us to ever say, Lord, you're late. Lord, you're not doing it the right way. You're not doing it the right time. Take it to the Lord and then do what? Trust him. And that's what Elisha had done. And the elders seem like they have figured it out too, and they're trusting the Lord. But the king is not. Don't be like the king. It's a hollow faith. It's a hollow faith in your own ideas, in your own way, in your own things, your own religiousness, and those kind of things. Don't put your trust in anything. Put your trust in who? In God. And so what did Elisha do? Verse 1 of chapter 7. Then Elisha said, again, every time, he doesn't scream anything, he doesn't yell anything. That does put a little difference between him and Elijah. Elijah tended to scream things and yell things, right? So I think the fact that he wanted a double portion of Elijah's faith can be seen in the fact that Elisha's response is always, he just says it like it is. And Elisha said, hear ye the word of the Lord. Thus saith the Lord, tomorrow, about this time, shall a measure of fine flour be sold for a shekel, and 2 measures of barley for a shekel, in the gate of Samaria. We're going to have so much that it's going to cost pennies for a meal, pennies for barley, tomorrow at this time. That's a gutsy call, isn't it? What's still around the outside of the city? See, what do they think? The Syrians are just going to say, oh, come on, let in some food. Let in some food. We feel sorry for these people. No. His trust wasn't in Syria and their compassion. His trust was not in the king to go out and defeat the army. His faith wasn't even in that somebody was coming to save them, except who was going to save them? God was going to do it. Now, whenever we stand up and we are patient and we are calm and we put our trust in the Lord and trust in his timing, there's always going to be that skeptic. There's always going to be that one to stand up and say, you're a liar. There's no way that can happen because their faith is in themselves. In fact, that's what happened in verse 2. Then a Lord on whose hand the king leaned. So he took counsel from this man. And clearly, was this guy giving him good counsel? No. answered the man of God and said, Behold, if the Lord would make windows in heaven, might this thing be? And he said, Behold, thou shalt see it with thine eyes, but you shall not eat thereof. He says, what's going to happen? Food just going to fall from heaven? Which, by the way, can God do that? Had God opened the windows of heaven and dumped food before, he could do it again. He could bring in a bunch of quail if he wanted to. He can do anything he wants. God can fix it. And he says, what is that going to happen? This isn't going to happen. There's no way that's going to happen. You're a liar. God's a liar. No way it's going to happen. Oh, it's going to happen. And by the way, you ain't going to eat any of it. Is God faithful? How is he going to do this? Well, verse 3. Let's see how faithful he is. And there were 4 leprous men at the entering in of the gate, and they said one to another, Why sit we here until we die? They could not go into the city because they were lepers. And what was surrounding the city? An army. They were kind of caught in between. They had no place to go. Were they hungry? Yeah, they were starving to death. So they were smart. I like these guys. I don't know who they are, but I like them. Verse 4. If we say we will enter into the city, then the famine is in the city, and we will die there. And if we sit still here, we will die also. So we die if we go in, because there's no food there. We die if we stay here, because there's no food here. Now, therefore, come. Let us fall unto the host of the Syrians. Let's just go and let's bow down. Let's say, hey, we're on your side. Let's fall on their mercy. If they save us alive, we shall live. And if they kill us, we were going to die anyways. So what's the difference? Right? Smart. Verse 5. And they rose up in the twilight to go unto the camp of the Syrians. And when they were come to the uttermost part of the camp, the furthest out of the Syria, behold, there was no man there. They walked up the camp and there was nobody. Well, that's strange. Maybe they're all having a party in the inside or something, Verse 6. For the Lord had made the host of the Syrians to hear a noise of chariots and a noise of horses, even the noise of a great host. And they said one to another, Lo, the king of Israel has hired against us the king of the Hittites and the king of the Egyptians to come upon us. Wherefore they arose and fled in the twilight, and left their tents and their horses and their asses, even the camp as it was, and fled for their life. How scared were they? How scared do you have to be a soldier and leave your horse? you got to be scared. Left food, supplies, and everything, and the entire army, which surrounded the city, all at once heard an army coming after them, and they fled for their life, leaving everything. And you're walking around that camp. What are you thinking? This is weird. Where'd everybody go? It's like a ghost town. Everybody's gone, but everything is there. The food is there. Supplies are there. Weapons are there. Horses are there. Everything is there. And they just ran for their life. Who did this, by the way? You can catch that? God did that. What can God do? Is God able to deliver us? Sounds like a song. He is able to deliver us, isn't he? Don't limit him. See, the skeptic back there limited him, didn't he? Don't limit God. Trust his timing. Trust his power, right? Trust in him. So what did they do? Verse 8. And when the lepers came to the uttermost part of the camp, they went into one tent and did eat and drink and carried thence silver and gold and raiment and went and hid it. And came again and entered another tent, and carried thence also, and went and hid it. They're making out like bandits. They're gorging themselves. They're gathering up. They're going and burying it, keeping it for themselves. But then, this is why I like these guys. They start thinking, no, this isn't just for us. Who could benefit from all this food? Everybody. Verse 9. Then they said one to another, we do not well. This isn't good. This day is a day of good tidings, and we hold our peace. If we tarry till the morning light, some mischief will come upon us. Now therefore come, that we may go and tell the king's house. Even if we just wait till morning, that's not good. People are starving to death in there. We need to go tell them. So they came and called unto the porter of the city, and they told them, saying, We came to the camp of the Syrians, and behold, there was no man there, neither voice of man, but horses tied and asses tied in the tents as they were. And so he called the porters, and they told it to the king's house within. Now, what had the king been told? The next day, there will be enough food for everybody. Everything will get back to normal tomorrow. Everything, this time tomorrow, everything will be great. And now the king is being told what? Everything's great. The Syrians are gone. Food aplenty. Everything's great. And yet, what does the king do? Same thing we do sometimes. How many can be hesitant, even when they see the hand of God move? No. Live by faith, folks. Trust God to keep his promises 100%. What the king do? Verse 12, And the king arose in the night and said unto his servants, I will now show you what the Syrians have done to us. They know that we be hungry. Therefore are they gone out of the camp to hide themselves in the field, saying, When they come out of the city, we will catch them alive and get into the city. And one of his servants answered and said, Let some take, I pray thee, 5 of the horses that remain, which are left in the city. 5 horses in the entire city is all that's left. Behold, they are as all the multitude of the Israel that are left in it. Behold, I say, they are even as all the multitude of the Israelites that are consumed. And let us send and see. So the king's response is what? It's a trap. Trust the Lord to keep his promises. Don't look for a trap. Don't look for anything. Trust in the Lord. So he says, send 5 guys out there with horses and let them see, just in case. They do. They took therefore 2 chariot horses, and the king sent after the host of the Syrians, saying, Go and see. And they went after them unto Jordan, and lo, all the way was full of garments and vessels, which the Syrians had cast away in their haste. And the messengers returned and told the king. I love that, because the picture is, some of them probably grabbed stuff as they were leaving camp, but then they realized, this is slowing us down, and that group is getting closer. What group? There's nobody there. There's nobody there, yet they're throwing things away as they're running just to try to lighten their load. How scared were they? What is God able to do? God's able to deliver us. No question about it. So now we have confirmation. They are gone, aren't they? And the people went out and spoiled the tents of the Syrians. So a measure of fine flour was sold for a shekel, and 2 measures of barley for a shekel, according to the word of the Lord. Duh. Right? Of course, according to the word of the Lord. That's why we don't have to worry. That's why we don't have to fret. That's why we don't have to fear. God will come through, won't he? And does he keep his promises? What percentage of his promises? 100% of his promises. What percent of the promise themselves? 100% of the promises 100% of the time, right? Now, if you're the skeptic, is that a good thing or a bad thing? That's a bad thing. Because it's not only said everybody's going to eat well, but you are not going to eat anything. What happened to him? Verse 17. And the king appointed the Lord on whose hand he leaned, that guy, to have the charge of the gate. Which, by the way, if everybody says, I have 500,000 hungry people, and there's enough food to feed them all out there, I want you to slow them down and keep them organized. Raj, do you want that job? Don't take that job. Do not. And I'm just wondering if the king, I don't know, did he do this on purpose? Well, I don't know. But either way, we know what's going to happen to him, right? And the people trode upon him in the gate, and he died, as the man of God had said, who spake when the word came down to him, right? And basically the rest of it is a complete retelling of exactly what we know, which is God is 100% faithful 100% of the time. He will keep all his promises to his people. So what do we need to do? What do we need to do? What should our reaction to troubles be? What should our reaction to calamity be? What should our reaction to difficult times be? Pray and trust in the Lord. Trust that He is able to deliver us, and He will deliver us at the right time in His way. Does that mean we don't go through any struggles? No. There was no food in that city. It was a difficult time, wasn't it? But the right time. Now, I always feel sorry for that one mom, because she would have waited one night more. Of course, my question always, what if the king would have come to Elisha a day earlier, a week earlier, a month earlier, 2 months earlier? How long was God waiting for somebody just to ask? Humbly ask. Go to the Lord. Trust in Him. Trust in His power to deliver. Trust in His timing. Trust in the Lord. Don't look at what you think could be, how it could be fixed, how you think it should be fixed, when you think it should be fixed. Trust in the Lord at all times. So, is God still faithful today? 100%. 100% of the time. How should we react to troubles then? Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not into thine own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will direct our paths, won't He? Put your trust in Him, because He is still the Good Shepherd, isn't He? Does He still meet all of our wants and needs? Does He still lead us beside the still water? Does He still lead us to those good pastures? Does He still anoint our head with oil? Does He still make a place for us in the presence of our enemies? Does He still lead us through the valley of the shadow of death? Does His goodness and mercy still follow us all the days of our life? And will we be in the house of the Lord forever? All those are still true, aren't they? No matter what's going on, the situation around us doesn't change the reality of God and His love for us, God and His care for us, God and His relationship with us. It doesn't change. So put your trust in Him. Do not fear. Do not be dismayed. In fact, that's the last place we're going. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 41, verse 10. Just a reminder. I still think this verse should be on everybody's dashboard, refrigerator, mirror, wherever you put things to remind yourself. This is such a powerful, powerful verse. And again, Isaiah is writing this to the children of God who are going to go through a difficult time because of their sin. But still he says what? Isaiah 41 verse 10, "Fear thou not, for I, God, am with you. Be not dismayed." Don't get down. Don't get worried. Don't get desperate. Don't be dismayed or discouraged, right? "For I am your God. I will strengthen you. Yea, I will help you. Yea, I will uphold you with the right hand of my righteousness." Whose promise is that? Who's that promise to? All of us. So as we look out on this world, a world full of disease, political fighting, hatred, injustice, unrest, financial problems, relationship problems, all kinds of problems. As we look out on this world, how should we view it? God's still in control. And I will put my trust in who? Him. I'll put my trust in Him. I'm not looking for anybody else to save me. I'm not looking for me to save me. I'm not looking for me to solve the problem. I will trust in the Lord and put my trust in Him. Whatever He wants to tell me to do, I will do. But in the meantime, I will just trust in Him. And then we can have that peace. We can have that hope. We're going to talk about this a little more tonight at the picnic. Hopefully everybody can join us. Because it's a good reminder for us always. Put your trust in the Lord. Be like Elisha. And just say, "The Lord hath said, I will take care of you," right? Let's pray.